Hey, this is Driver. So we are back over in ATS. Hope y'all enjoyed the flight sim videos. I'm planning on doing some more of those here soon. But today we're going to be in ATS. We got us a load of dumpsters here, which actually looks pretty new for wanting to leave the tractor supply that we're at. So we're still in Lawton, Oklahoma, and we're going out to Idabell, Oklahoma. It's around 300 something miles. We'll see here in just a minute when I put the GPS up. So we've got that going on, and for our subjects today, what we're going to talk about while we're cruising is just going to be kind of a little mixed bag of stuff. General trucking information, info for newbies, things like that. So we're just going to kind of go through that as we go. It's a little bit mixed back and forth between the lists that I've got here. So I will be kind of glancing at my notes from time to time. So let's go ahead and hop back in the cab here. Let's get this old girl fired back up. Get all of our stuff back up. So yeah, we got, oh, it's not even 300, it's 247 miles. So I apologize for that. But yeah, we got this nice little run for us. Pretty easy. I know I talked before at one time about different trucking stories. I don't really have a whole lot of stories for Oklahoma. I have driven through Oklahoma multiple times. I was actually born in Oklahoma. But don't have a whole lot of stories for Oklahoma. So let's work on getting out of this place first. Assume anybody, but you never know at this time of the day. We'll just stay out here in this left lane. Also, too, I just noticed that I need to get fuel. I'm only at a half tank, so we're probably okay for the trip, but we might grab fuel en route as well. So anyhow, so let's get started on our subjects for the day. So one of the big questions is no, what new drivers should know, or things I can maybe tell them that would help them in advance. Some of this I've gone over in past videos talking about weather, but when it comes for new drivers, some of the things that I'd suggest is listen to the veteran truck drivers. And I'm not talking about a guy next to you at a cafe that says, "Oh, I've been driving for 2 years. This is what you need to know." I'm not saying that guy is wrong, but what I'm talking about is the old guys just sitting in the back of the truck stop, still sipping on coffee, and you could tell they've been on the road for a long time. Those guys will have some great ideas for you. Things of the do's and don'ts, and well, there's probably things that they will tell you about, some little trucking stories of their own, crazy things they've done. um, First and foremost, the one thing I would recommend is patience. Is have patience. I see so much, and this is with big trucks and with cars, is so much impatience out there. People are in such a huge hurry these days. It's unreal. And as truck drivers, we're under a time clock in a sense. We're not paid by the hour, we're paid by the mile, most of us. So trying to get that job done as quick as possible, put as many miles in a day to maximize your money sounds great, but it's not worth it for, you know, hurting somebody, more or less. You don't want to be that guy in the news that, does something completely stupid. So that's my first suggestion. Be patient. You're not going to always maximize your day no matter what you do. Um, and getting mad because you got stuck behind somebody on the interstate that was driving 3 mile an hour slower than you is really not worth it. Road rage is becoming a big problem. Here in the U.S., it's been a problem. I know it's a problem in a lot of other countries. And, you know, being patient and avoiding, conflict with other people, it helps with that, keeping the road rage and such down. The next thing I will suggest is not to push yourself. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about being tired. Um, Trucking companies, they want you to work your maximum hours. So your maximum hours is 11 hours of driving here in the U.S. Um, and on duty, being on duty for a grand total of 14 hours. So your day can start at say 7 a.m., but your day needs to end by 9 p.m. And inside that time frame, you got your 11 hours of driving. So one thing I don't agree with is that mandatory that we have to take a 30-minute break throughout our day. Um, from the time that you take off from the parking lot, you have 8 hours to stop again to take a 30-minute break. I get why they're doing it, but I just don't like that they're forcing it on us like that. But I understand why, because we have a lot of people that will not stop. And I'll be honest, I've been one of those too, where I want to get as far as I can and I don't want to have to stop. But, um, if you feel tired, being sleepy on the road is one of the biggest hazards out here. It's just as bad as being drunk. If you're getting sleepy and you can't hold your eyes open, you can't remember what happened the last 5 miles, you can't keep your truck in your own lane, you need to pull over and take a nap. Um, there's several things that you can do. I mean, you'll hear all the stories from all the people. Oh, just stop at a truck stop, grab you a cup of coffee, get you a 5 hour energy shot, go get you a Monster Energy, or a NOS, or, you know, that a lot of that crap is horrible for you. Coffee's fine, but all that sugar and stuff that they put in a lot of those energy drinks, it's not good for your body in the long haul. Um, it might help for a quick pick me up, but in my opinion, it's just not really worth it. So, when you first notice that you're getting tired, a few things that I will recommend, and this is things that I've done. Um, One thing would be to start by cracking a window open in your truck. Um, as odd as it may seem, a little bit of fresh air coming into your cab may do you some good. If you're running, say it's summertime and it's, even though it's nighttime like it is right now, but it's, 80, somewhere between 80 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit outside, you got that AC pumping ice cold and you're keeping yourself nice and cool, but you got the recirculation on. You don't have a whole lot of fresh air coming into your truck, into the cab. Opening a window, and I'm not talking about rolling the whole thing down. I'm talking about just crack the window, about an inch. Or if you have the old school version where you have the little vent windows, those are even better. But just open it a little bit and just let some fresh air in. It don't even have to be on your side. If you got a truck with power windows, do the one on the passenger side, and let some fresh air into your truck. That can drastically change how you feel. Um, After you do that, it probably wouldn't hurt to think about finding somewhere you can stop, probably like a truck stop, and see about getting you maybe a cup of coffee. Um, and while you're there getting your cup of coffee, get out of the truck and do some walking. And I'm not talking about, go sprint a marathon or anything like that. I'm talking about just getting out of the truck and moving around a little bit. The one thing that I used to do if I got kind of sleepy is I would go to the truck stop to go in and get a cup of coffee. But while I was in there looking for me a cup of coffee, I would venture around in the store a little bit. Now, some stores may frown upon you just wandering around aimlessly, but if as long as you're making a purchase, you're in good faith, and you're not trying to be sneaky and steal something, they're not really going to care too much. So, and speaking of that, we are going to pop this place. Can I get through here? Yeah, here we go. We're going to stop here and get some fuel while we're out and about. So, Yeah, just go in the store and just look around. My favorite truck stops for doing such a thing used to be like TA Petro. They used to have a big area of, stuff for truck drivers that had clothing and safety equipment, straps, tie downs, and all kind of different stuff. So just kind of walk around and enjoy the view, look at stuff for a minute, and then casually go over to the cashier and or actually go to the coffee spot and get you a coffee. Sometimes a coffee will do you good. And after doing a little bit of walking around, and I'm saying, browse around for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, maybe a little longer, kind of just enjoy what you see there, and go ahead and get what you need and get back on the road. So I'm only talking about wasting maybe 15 minutes of your time. Um, so doing that can really help. Just getting out of the truck and moving around. That's one of the problems that us truck drivers face is the fact that we do not get enough exercise, and it's really bad for us. So the getting out and walking will actually help you out in the whole long run, anyways. Some of the other things that you can do is maybe find a snack that's healthy. Now, for me, I found Fritos to be the thing that worked for me. Now, I don't recommend it because Fritos is a salty snack and don't need that much salt and sodium in your life. But that was my turn on. Guess not. Oops. So yeah, finding something you can snack on. One thing I always kept prepared in my truck for many years was I would use Tupperware bowls mostly to put snacks in, and I would have a mixture of different stuff that I would have going on. One snack that I would have is I would have a couple bowls. So one bowl I would throw like potato chips in. It was just something I could snack on just to kind of keep me going sometimes, and sometimes it was Fritos. The other bowl I kept more like a cracker style snack, something that, isn't as bad for you as far as like greasiness and things like that. But, I used to put a lot of like Ritz Bits and things like that, Cheetos, not Cheetos, Cheez Its, and even those like little goldfish crackers, things like that. Something to just kind of snack on. The one thing that law enforcement does not want to see you do is holding your favorite bag of Cheetos, we'll use for an example, trying to drive down the highway. They don't want you holding anything at all. They don't really want you messing with nothing. But I actually had a cop, a DOT officer, years ago that actually liked the way that I did my food bowl setup. She thought that it was actually a very good idea, and she liked it very well. So just keeping snacks around, keeping them kind of handy, and it's kind of hard to do at times depending upon your truck setup. Cold foods, I mean, depending upon your truck, whether or not you have any kind of a fridge setup, but even if you do, your refrigerator is not going to be close by. So some of those snacks like celery and carrots and things like that, it's not going to be easily accessible. But it doesn't mean you can't, stop and get you something to eat. I couldn't tell you how many times that with having a refrigerator in my truck, I would pull into a rest area or a parking area, picnic area. It all depends upon where you're at and what they're called. But pull into one of those locations, stop the truck, get out of the truck. And I always try to park as far from the building as possible. It gives me the reason to walk and get a little bit of exercise in. Walk up to the rest area if they've got a bathroom section. You go up there and use the restroom so you can clean your hands and things like that and get a little bit of movement in you. And then when you get back to your truck, grab your snack, make a sandwich or something like that. So your food options can make a huge difference, depending upon how you're eating. If you're eating a bunch of junk food, obviously it's not good for your body and it doesn't do well for your body. So I would recommend that stuff as far as, trying to stay awake and keeping yourself alert. Alert is the key thing here with trucking. I mean, I'm playing a simulation game, so I can get away with not paying attention at times. But as y'all know, even in the game, it still costs me money. If I'm not paying attention and I sideswipe a car or run up the curb and hit a telephone pole, it still does damage. And it costs me anyways. So it's just some of the stuff that I would recommend, for new drivers. Um, Another thing I would recommend for new drivers is try to keep your money in order. And I'm not trying to badmouth or knock anybody. Everybody's got their own story to tell of what's going on with their life, and I get it. But um, one thing is cleanliness. Um, I see a lot of truck drivers that do not take showers like they're supposed to. They're, usually one of the ones that's stinking. What are you doing, dude? Go. People like you that cause traffic jams. Oh, take it out. Open the car. Sorry, folks. Let me work on getting out of here. Car passes by. That one passes by. You people. This is what I hate about this game at times. I'm trying to turn left here. Probably don't even have my blinker on, but actually I do. But these guys are going to just sit right there, blocking a whole road. And see that? They started to go right as I went. Shows how much I trust four-wheelers. That right there is one of those alert things you need to be watching for. But no, taking care of yourself in general, keeping clean. The things you got to think about is not only do you represent the company you drive for, whether you like them or not, how much you love that company or hate that company, but you also represent yourself as a person. So, it's one of those things, you want to represent yourself, period, as a, respectable person. And I know on the road it's hard to be able to get that daily shower in, but there's ways that you can combat this. Um, if you're not able to get a shower, something I would recommend carrying on the truck is something that you can kind of clean yourself up with. I'm not going to use the word, but I think most of you guys know what I'm talking about. But there's ways that you can take care of yourself and still keep yourself somewhat clean, at least till you get a shower in. The other thing is how you represent yourself as the way you dress. Now, I'm a little bit more old school. I believe in dressing for the job you work. Sorry, I was taking an opportunity to take a drink while we're at stoplight. But dressing in inappropriate clothing, and this goes in a couple different ways. Number one, wearing shirts or something like that has vulgar stuff on it, obviously is not going to do a whole lot for your reputation, as a person. Some of those shirts might be funny, at a party or, around a group of friends, but it's not great for when you're out and about. You might get a laugh here and there at the truck stop, but then when you go to deliver or you're at your company office, you might get frowned upon a little bit. But, things like that. Also, the condition of your clothing. And I understand that, you're not going to keep all your brand new clothes on your truck. And I don't expect you to. I'm not talking about wearing a suit and tie every day. But, getting out of your truck and you've got a shirt, that's got a hole in it big enough that you can see things that you shouldn't see, that doesn't look good on you either. So it's just about being professional, guys. That's mainly what I look at. And like I said, I'm a little bit more old school. I don't say anything, but I also don't agree with when I see people that are delivering their load wearing pajamas and flip-flops. I actually have seen more people than I care to count that would pull into a delivery point and they would get out of their truck wearing their pajama pants, their fuzzy slippers, and their hair's never been fixed, or just things like that. And there's days where it's hard to, like I said, keep your appearance looking nice. Is your hair always going to be perfectly combed? Well, if you slept in their parking lot, probably not. But just making the attempt. It's just kind of the way I look at things. But as far as on the road itself, um, the biggest thing is to be aware of what's going on. You need to be aware of all the vehicles around you. In the real world of trucking, you should be checking your mirrors every 5 seconds. You should be constantly on a rotation. Literally, you look in front of you, you look at left mirror, right back in front of you, look at right mirror. You need to know what's going on around you at all times. In the event that you need to make a quick stop and say you're on the freeway and traffic just comes to a screaming stop really fast, you need to be able to react very fast, and you need to know where you're going to go when you do react. And the only way to know where to go is to already know what's around you. So, for an example, right now, I mean, I know I just took off, but I know I have nobody in my left lane beside me. If a car pulls out in front of me, or this lane stops for no reason, like say I top a hill, then one of my choices is to hit the left lane. I know that the shoulder is currently empty in front of me, and I know the shoulder is an option. You know, if all of that was occupied, then where do I go next? One thing, I need to slow down, don't I? So it's just paying attention to all that stuff that's going on. Because no matter what, and no matter what weather condition you're in, ooh, I'm running out of road here. Whoa, what are we doing? You always need to have a way out. It doesn't matter if it's a beautiful dry day like it is today on the game, or if it is snowing like crazy. You need to be fully aware of what's around you, what's going on, so that way, if anything happens, you have a way out. So that's some of the big things that I can suggest. The other things that I can suggest is please keep an eye on your truck. And there's several things behind this. The big thing is DOT, when they stop you and they do an inspection and they find something wrong, they will know you did not do your inspection like you were supposed to. In the US, and I'm sure it's like this in most countries and states, provinces and all that, we do a pre-trip in the morning and we do a post-trip in the afternoon. It varies upon, area what you're doing, but so when you get up in the morning, you're doing a full walk around your truck. And I talked a little bit about this when I talked about the way stations. But if you're just one of these ones, and I've seen it a million times, where a driver literally goes from the sleeper behind me to the driver's seat, starts the truck, he runs it long enough to, build enough air pressure to drive, and then just leaves. He never gets out and looks at anything, and it baffles me. And then that driver may show up to a way station and get inspected, and the cop's like, "Oh, you've got a wheel seal that's leaking. You didn't know about this?" And you sit there and go, "Oh no, I guess it just started." But when it's obvious that it's been leaking for a week, they're gonna know that you don't do your stuff. Also, just keeping an eye on your truck in general. Unfortunately for us truck drivers, we still deal with thieves. And sadly, it's among us. It's sad to say that, but it really is. I can use this lane for a minute. I have not personally had this happen to me, but I do know of people that it's happened to them. But one growing trend that continues to keep going and doesn't seem to stop is people will go around to 18-wheelers parked in truck stops, and it might be a truck driver that's doing it, it might just be some guy being an a-hole, but they will come and pull the fifth wheel release on your trailer, between your truck and trailer and the fifth wheel. They will pull that release and it unlocks the kingpin. So, and the thing about it is it can be done quiet enough most of the time. And if it's done to you, it's probably done because yours was easy to do. But they'll do it, and you won't know it. You will be dead asleep when it happens. You'll get up the next morning, and you may not catch it when you do your pre-trip inspection. Or if you're one of those that doesn't do your pre-trip inspection, you'll find out when you pull forward in 2 minutes, because that's kind of what happens. Once your fifth wheel is unlocked, that trailer will separate from that truck. The question is when. Um, for some that have been fortunate in a way that didn't check, um, they would just basically start pulling out of their parking spot, and they would get somewhere in the parking lot, either right out of the parking spot or something of that nature, and the trailer will just fall off the truck. And then after that, now you're getting with your company, if you who you work for, to get a wrecker out there to pick the trailer up, so that way you can hook back to it again and carry about your day. Um, Unfortunately, there's been cases where there's been several people that they didn't make it out. They made it out of the parking lot. They made it down the road. And I mean, they made it. I mean, there was some people that drove 100, 200 miles and didn't even know that it was disconnected until it fell off their truck. And a trailer falling off of a semi truck going down the highway at freeway speeds of say 55 or 60, that's kind of a bad thing here. We need a hop lane. Well, guess no matter. Yeah, that's a pretty bad thing. And one way to prevent a trailer falling off your truck is knowing that your trailer is hooked up, and that's probably kind of its own video on its own. But there's two things to look at. If you've been pulling that trailer, let's say you picked up your trailer down in Miami, Florida. So you're down in Miami and you've got, say, a 2,000-mile trip. So you've got several days of driving. So several nights of being hooked to that trailer. When you get up in the morning and you're doing your pre-trip inspection, two things you want to look for. A, you want to look at your fifth wheel handle. If it's pulled out, it's been released. That means somebody pulled the fifth wheel and released it for you. And if you see that, then you need to go and get that sorted out for yourself. And I can explain that in a minute. The other way to look too is to carry a flashlight with you, and I prefer using a regular flashlight, not one on your cell phone, but just a regular flashlight you can put in your pocket, something LED, something good and bright for during the day at least. And get under the trailer right by the fifth wheel connection. And do I have a stop sign? I have a stop sign. What about this guy? You have a stop sign too, or what are you doing? Good old Greyhound. So, and what you're going to do with that flashlight when you get under there is you're going to look where the fifth wheel and kingpin line up, and there's a groove where it slides in. And what you're looking for in there is you're looking for the jaws that come around the back side of that kingpin that hold it in place to the truck. So you need to be looking for that and making sure that that is also locked. That is something you also need to do when you initially hook up that trailer for your truck. Anytime you hook up to a trailer, that's what you need to do. Another thing you can do is what we call the tug test. So that is having the trailer brakes set and releasing the truck brakes and trying to pull forward and see what happens. So, because typically if it's hooked up and if everything's hooked up correctly and you lock the trailer brakes in one form or another, that trailer is not going anywhere, and if it's hooked up correctly, it's not going to fall off your truck. So that's a couple things to look for. Now, one preventative thing you can do is when you park at a truck stop overnight, or really anywhere, truck stop, rest area, wherever you park overnight, one thing you can do to prevent this a little bit, it's not a guarantee, but it's definitely a help. Go to, when you park, usually you'll back into a parking spot, but everybody's different. After you park, before you fully shut down everything, take your trailer brakes and lock them. Either by releasing the red valve you can see down there that says trailer, you pull that knob, it locks some trailer brakes. And make sure your truck brakes are released, and then pull forward just like you're doing a tug test. But when you pull forward and put tension on it, and then keep the tension on it by holding the brake and setting your truck brakes. What you're doing is you're putting pressure against those jaws, and those jaws, it makes it harder to release the trailer. So it's just a quick little trick that you can do. it's also kind of a reverse thing. If you are trying to drop your trailer and you can't pull the handle out, you usually have pressure against those jaws. And what you'd want to do is get back in the truck, leave the trailer brakes set, and release the truck brakes. And then you want to back into the kingpin a little bit to relieve that pressure off of there, is what you're trying to do. So, yeah. So that's a lot of my big tips and tricks, guys. You know, making sure you're doing everything right, and just be professional in general. I'm pretty sure we all know how to be professional at this point. Um, so yeah. So we're just going to end the topic there. We're pulling in to deliver. Let's see. Y'all want to park it there or there? All right, so the video isn't too long yet, so we're going to go ahead and do a parking challenge for once. Don't do this too often, mostly to save time. Yeah, check it out, they have their own scale, so try to go around that a little bit. You need to go around the building. Ah, they got a dock down there. Okay, cool. So let's go down here and do some parking. Okay, so they make it a little bit more of a challenge with that trailer being in our way right there. Why there are hoods on a trailer at Waste Management, I have no clue. This is one of those things that I was talking about with being patient. You know, I could try to hurry up and back into here as fast as I want to, but am I really going to get it done any faster? For that trailer now. Actually, I probably had it, but I like to be a little bit more straighter than that, so that actually was a pretty good backing job in my opinion. They'll probably wonder why I don't do this more often. And disconnect. Alright guys, so 251 miles is how many we drove, and we made $2,729. So not too bad, not too bad at all. So let's go back out here for a minute, and we can actually straighten the camera back out, and go ahead and shut down the motor, get rid of all this extra stuff on the screen. We'll step outside for a minute. Oh, the trailer's still there. Cool, cool. All right, guys. So that's a wrap on that video. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the information. Um, you know, a lot of that is my opinions, but also things that I suggest as well to, you know, just better yourself in the long run. So anyways, guys, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.